All right, we're just going to test sound here real quick. Happy New Year. All right, we're just going to test sound here real quick. All right, that'll all be edited out for the podcast. All right, I think I sound all right. All right, number 272. Happy New Year from Oscar Mike Radio. Oscar Mike Radio is part of the Hubazoo network. You can find out more on hubazoo.com. So I was going to record a show, and then I thought it's the end of the year. Let's mix it up again. Let's have some fun. And let's do a live stream on Thursday night. And then I'll take the live stream and convert it into a podcast, and it's streaming everywhere and it'll be up. And just kind of take some time and rap with you all about what happened this year in Oscar Mike Radio, what's going on, and some of the things that I got going on for 2022, and just have a good time. So for those of you who are just checking us out for the first time or are not aware, and that's perfectly okay, is Oscar Mike Radio is a podcast I started 5.5 years ago. It was a way to kind of give back a little bit and kind of provide a place where active duty military and veterans could tell their stories, and we could get people contacted with each other to help network or give each other support. Hey Ross, how are you doing? Thanks for checking in. And really see what I could do with this. At the time, 5.5 years ago, if you're going to do something like this, you were still needed to get on terrestrial radio, AM or FM, to really make this work. And I'm happy to say that since I started this, we've seen podcasting really grow and expand and explode even over the last couple of years, especially during COVID. Commander Fleek, thanks for checking in, sir. Commander Fleek and Andrew Farr were guests on a show a couple of weeks ago. They have the TSP, the Scuttlebutt podcast, and then Commander Fleek just started the Nosebleed Report podcast. So check them out. They're in Central Tennessee, and Andrew, Commander Fleek are plugged all into what's going on with veterans there. It's a good show, and you want to check it out. So I just kind of want to briefly recap last year and then go into some things this year. I'm going to do this a little bit differently, though. I want to start off by saying thank you to a longtime supporter. Let me get this around here. Super Savage. Great story here. I'm just trying to avoid the mic. Savage Caesar and Savage Balsamic, two flavors they have of salad dressing. And Super Savage was started by a husband and wife team, John and Stacy Curry. John's lieutenant colonel, retired in the Marine Corps, who flew AH-1 Cobras. And him and his wife had this idea to make salad dressing that was natural and made from fresh ingredients and, good for you. And I am a huge fan of it, and, really like what they were doing in the story. And what they have done is agreed to support me and what I'm doing with Oscar Mike Radio. It's been really great. And I'm going to tell you the how you can get in on some really cool stuff here, if I can find it real quick. This is the thing with doing this live. I learn every time I do it. Here we go. Supporter, Super Savage. Here we go. Oh yeah, so if you use the code Oscar Mike Radio, if you go to supersavage.com, they will give you 10% off an order. And you really want to check that out because you're supporting a veteran-owned company that's making something here in the U.S. And John Stacy are great Americans. I've got two more supporter shout outs and sponsors. I got some sponsor shout outs coming too, but to get moving along. Last year at this time, in January, this is 272 now. I started off January 7th with 221. So I've done, 50 shows, 51 shows in the last year. And which was pretty good for me, all things considered. And I started off January with a bang. What had happened around that time was a lot of stuff was going on in Middle Tennessee, and a lot of artists, particularly country artists, which I know nothing about, right, were coming on the scene to support veterans in the Tennessee area. And I got to interview them and talk with them about their musical career and what they've done. And the cool thing is with that is some of them did not serve in the military. Some of them did. But there's a lot of similarities between doing your military career and military transition and what they did as artists, having to reinvent themselves and figure out how to get better and rely on people and rely on themselves and adapt and overcome. So these series of shows I did in January and February really spoke to that. And it was really cool to get to see, how the music industry works, particularly how it applies to veterans, because veterans come out of the military or even in the military, and then they want to get this going. And it takes a lot of effort to get there. So I thought that was really, a good way to start my year. And I had a really cool guest in March moving along. Stephen Empt is a West Point guy. Went to West Point for a while and then got out and was playing basketball for UConn and, became a paraplegic in a car accident. And what he's done with his life since then and the challenges that he's overcome is something that stuck with me and became very apparent a couple months later. And there is Andrew Farr. Andrew, how you doing, brother? I am savage tonight, going out of the year with a bang and welcoming the new year. So it was just very cool getting to talk with Stephen Empt. He is a Paralympian. And what that means is he's a Paralympian curling pro. I mean, they have wheelchair curling, and him and his team, travel internationally and compete. And it's going to be really cool to watch it because I don't know much about curling, but it's one of those sports that I'll sit there and watch and get really into it. And it's really strategic how they get the stones to do what they got to do. It's something else. So I really, 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 enjoy it. And it was great talking to him. Oscar Mike Radio is sponsored by Joyce Asack of Asack Real Estate. She's a RE/MAX agent. She's on the South Shore of Massachusetts, but goes all around to the Cape and North Shore, and Joyce has the distinction of being my first sponsor and, ironically enough, my first female sponsor. So it's been a great relationship, and Joyce has guided me into some ways to promote myself while being authentic to who I am, but also, some ideas of direction of the show and some things that I've done on the merchandise side. So just want to give a shout out to Joyce for supporting me and looking forward to a great 2022. And, this is the best part about Oscar Mike Radio is now that I've been doing this for 5.5 years, is seeing some of these relationships that, happened back in year one and year two still, bear fruit. When I say bear fruit, these are people that still, check out the show, still support what I'm doing, still provide good ideas. It's fantastic. So that brings me to the question about halfway through the year. Someone asked me 6 months ago, 7 months ago, well, why do you still do this? What's the big deal? And what I tell people is, I can't really articulate why I still do this. I know I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And I think it comes back to the story I tell about a show I did with Stephen Kimball, who is a Army National Guard veteran and owns his own, contracting business in construction, right? And the one thing that he said to me that really changed the whole outlook on Oscar Mike Radio was, I'm asking him for, some feedback and everything else like that. And he was kind of funny. He's like, I was kind of weird recording in a Dunkin' Donuts, but funny enough, it turned out great. I mean, I sound great. I didn't think it would sound like that. He said, I don't know much about this podcasting stuff. I really don't. But he's like, I do know business. And he's like, if you provide value to people with your show, you'll never go wrong. And that really changed the whole thing for me. I tell people all the time, I used to try to be one of those guys watching all the numbers weekly and creating metrics to see what I'm doing. And oh my God, I had a spike that's great. Or, 2 people listened this week that I suck. And when I started doing this with the aspect of trying to provide value to the guest or to the subject or to what I was talking about, my whole perspective on this changed. And it became not about all these crazy numbers, which of course would be great. You want to see a lot of engagement with what you're doing. You're putting all this work in. When I reduce it to, I just want to end this whenever this ends, knowing that I impacted one person's life positively, the whole game changed for me. It was no longer about my ratings or number of views, all that. It's like, did I do good enough to either leave my guest or somebody that they're associated with or somebody who checks me out to impact their lives, to either make change or to validate that they're on the right path or give them the proverbial kick in the south end. And that's hard to measure. I'm asked about metrics all the time. I'm like, at a high level, there's a couple platforms that I watch to see how I'm doing, and it's great. I will tell anybody that, look, there's like 1.5, 1.6 million registered podcasts on Apple iTunes, and only 14 to 15% of that 1.5 million put out content in the last 30 days. And then if you stretch that back 90 days, the number drops even more. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're going to do this, you can have a lot of views, but I look for consistency. If you're putting out content every 2 weeks, well, then you should have 24 shows a year. But if say you're a podcaster and, you're a weekly show and you've only put out 10 shows this year, there's questions that I ask, and I have to. I mean, and I understand it's hard. Trust me, I understand that this is hard, but my point is, I look at other things to measure my success. I could spend a lot more time looking at numbers. I used to a lot, but when I started looking at it as a way to, add value to whatever I'm doing, life got better. Life got better. And speaking of getting better, about midway through April, we went to, when I say we, it's me and Danielle Rocco. Danielle Rocco has her book devoted to a soldier. She's a Marine mom. We got to cover the VFW golf tournament, and it was really kind of cool to go to Tennessee and do that and see how, I'm in the New England area. There's a lot of veterans within my vicinity. Tennessee is very spread out. There's a joke, you can, take a whole day to drive across the state, literally. But, there's different ways they approach veterans advocacy, but just like us here, they're very committed to what they're doing. It was very nice to go there and see what was going on. And, I want to give a big shout out to Chris Turner, who, performed at these things. He's a Marine veteran. You can go to christurnermusic.com and check out his website. Big country guy. I am not, but I appreciate the effort and drive. And also big shout out to Brian Walker, the state commander for Tennessee. and some of the things that he's doing with, Justin Johnson and Andrew Farr and other people. Michelle Baxter too. Michelle, how are you doing? I want to make sure I give her a shout out. So again, I mean, a lot of this up until June was a lot of artists, a lot of people who were doing their own writing projects. Got to talk to Mario Lima of the Reverend Warriors in Puerto Rico, which is really cool. Didn't learned a lot about the Coast Guard. I think he's the first Coastie I had on, and did some other things that really cool. And then late June, early July is when things got really interesting for me. I had a old injury reach up and knock me around a little bit. I'm just now getting, back on my feet. Well, it was a really challenging time to keep this going, keep life going while I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it at all. And, I thought about, a lot of other people. This is where, I didn't bring it out, but this is a very important book that I tell people to check out is The Warrior's Book of Virtues by Buzz Bryan, Matt Bloom, and Nick Bennis. Buzz is a Navy corpsman, but Matt and Nick are Marine Corps veterans. And, the book was amazing. And I leaned on that book to kind of help me get through it. I leaned on Stephen Imp's book to get through my thing. And, I really appreciated sponsor Mark Holmes of Reaper Detailing and Power Washing. Mark is National Guard retired, and reached out to me and said, "Hey, brother, if you need anything, I got you." And that was very good. And he's a strong supporter of the show. But I was not in a really great shape in July, August, and September. Those were hard months for me, and took a whole lot to get through. And I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out to the Veterans Brotherhood Motorcycle Club. One of their guys took me to my first VA appointment to start, therapy, and they reached out and made sure I was taken care of. So I really appreciate that. And as I got into July, a lot of the artists started, they're getting ready to get on tour again. So they kind of, started doing their thing and started talking about other things going on. And August was a really interesting month. I really, really liked what happened in early August with Elena Madden, Simplify Designs. She is a Marine veteran, got out as a sergeant, and builds these wooden signs for people, and not just build them right, but she takes the signs, she will custom do them, and then donate the proceeds to veterans service organizations. And it's really amazing to watch, really amazing to see how somebody took something like that, learned their craft, and made it to where they can give back to other people. I really, really enjoyed it. I had Mark E. Peterson and Andrea Eichmann from the People's Patriot Project on in August. It was great getting to talk with them and what they're doing in upper Minnesota. And I think that's the thing that I want to leave people with is there's a lot of people in different parts of this country trying to do different things to support veterans. But, one of the things I like about social media is the area has gotten compressed. You can contact somebody in California, and then that person can contact somebody in Florida, and we can get help to somebody in Illinois. It's really a flat world right now. And I would leave you with, hey, there's no reason for you to fight alone, and there's no reason for you not to ask for help, because help can come from many different sources. Many different sources. So again, I'm going through this. I'm going to September. One of the shows in September that I really like doing was the We Got Your Six show. Denny Zanalotti is an Army veteran and now an actor, and their film was in a film contest, they didn't win, but they won a grant for, like I want to say between 5 and 15,000 to create another film for next year. And it was a really cool thing to watch all the films and then vote for his and see them win. That was really a special moment. So had a good time doing that. And then, wound down to the end of the year. I was starting to feel a bit better, starting to get back into the swing of things. And that kind of leaves me where we are now, with 2022. Now, if you go to my Facebook page and other things, you're going to see, the cover for this stream is a NASCAR truck with, the logo and the missile and the Oscar Mike Radio all over it. And this is one kind of this is just one of many of the cool things that happened in 2021. They're going to kick off in 2022. But a Marine veteran I served with, Adam, he was in a different battery than me, or no, he was in same battery as me, different platoon. Charlie Battery. He was in first platoon. I was in second platoon. And he's doing his thing. He's getting through life, and he found a lot of enjoyment doing this racing simulator. This is not like your PlayStation or Xbox where no. This is, hey, we've got to tune the car just right. They built this thing on top of this racing simulator engine. And he logs on and practices and does his racing and gets his laps in and fights for position, the whole 9 yards. And watch some of these streams. I mean, one wrong move and it looks like an actual NASCAR race gone wrong. And he's like, hey man, I'm trying to, get this going. I'm trying to do this. Would you consider sponsoring me in 2022? And I thought about it. I'm like, well, how cool is that? And this is the kind of stuff I like to support, where someone is trying to take something that they're doing and make it something bigger, or, trying to get over the hump. And I'm like, and of course I served with the guy, I mean, out in the same desert, sneaky, nasty, the whole 9 yards, sandstorms, scorpions, I mean, every bit of it. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So he's like, well, hey, let me have some of your logos and I'll show you some mock-ups of the car and truck. I'm not going to show you the car. You gotta come back and watch the shows on the car. I got the truck and I'm like, well, how cool is that? I mean, ladies and gentlemen, look at the cover of this on Facebook and other places. That truck with the stuff on it looks outstanding. Outstanding. Sorry, my phone's doing that. I thought I had muted it. Now we're muted. So he's doing this, and that truck, that mock-up, and different mock-ups of the cars will be all over the FSB Racing League in 2022. And who would have thought that you can log on to a simulator that's seen worldwide, and my guy, there's Adam Simonik racing for the checkered flag with Oscar Mike Radio stuff on it. I know it's not like the real physical NASCAR. Maybe one day, maybe not. I don't know. But I just think that is cool. And I just love supporting this kind of stuff. And I was so humbled and honored that Adam reached out to me to get involved in this. So what I'm hoping happens is I'll be able to talk to like the actual league people. And then he runs with this team of guys called the Wolf Pack. They're veterans who race, and then have Adam on. And as he's going through the season in 2022, I'm going to have regular updates in the shows about how our guy is doing, and hopefully that some people will get behind him and watch the streams and check it out. It'll be really cool. So I'm wearing this Bottom Gun Coffee hat. And Bottom Gun Coffee is another supporter of Oscar Mike Radio, and similar to Super Savage. If you go to bottomguncoffee.com and use the code OMR, you get 10% off your order. And Bottom Gun Coffee is started by a naval submariner who wanted to keep the coffee he had in on the submarines and kind of make those same kind of blends for us people out here. And I can tell you, Navy guys know coffee. I know there's Black Rifle coffee and other, coffee, but it's just the Navy guys know how to do coffee, and submariners are a breed apart. And that was a cool thing talking to Mr. Mosier of Bottom Gun Coffee and about his experience being a submariner. People don't understand, what's expected and how that all works, and the level of effort to be the very best to go under the water like that for an extended period of times. They're really different people, and much respect to him, even though I know he's a squid, but I mean he's the real deal, and so it was really cool getting to talk with him, and I'm very proud to support Bottom Gun Coffee, and I'm just humbled that he saw to it to support me. So go to bottomguncoffee.com. The code is OMR for 10% off. So kind of getting the last part of this, we're rounding the third lap, as Adam would say. What's truly next for Oscar Mike Radio? I can't tell you right away. COVID really has changed certain things that I wanted to do in the last 2 years, with the restrictions and travel challenges, uh, and talking with people in person. Excuse me, really changed the entire way that I did this. There was a time where if I was going to talk to somebody, I did it in person. I would use Skype or Zoom if there was no other alternative, but it was all done in person, and that's just the way it was. And now, almost exclusively for the last 2 years, I've only done one live interview in the last 20 months. One. It's been almost 2 years since I've really done when I say live interviews, that means I'm going there with my Zoom H6, my mics, and set up and talk to that person where I can, touch them. That's what I mean. I of course they're alive when I talk to them. Yeah, right. But what I'm trying to say is, it's one thing to talk to somebody over a Zoom chat. It's another matter entirely to go to their home or to a park or to their business and set up and do it there. And so I've kind of missed that because it's a different feel, and it requires different expertise and disciplines to make it come out right. And that didn't come out right. But anyway, I mean, I really miss that aspect of it. And so things have changed. And I've played around a lot more with video in the last 2 years. And so I think what I'm going to try to do is really work on getting better at doing video. And also I think I want to commit to doing a live stream like this once a month to really get better at doing this live, because it's one thing to do it where I can take what I talk about and massage it and shine it and buff it and polish it to make it look, sound a different way. But live is still something I could improve on. So I think for 2022, I'm going to try one live stream a month and then convert it into a podcast and put it up on my website. And then, as much as possible, try to get people to talk to me in person and go from there. I think there's some things I could do promotional wise, of course. I've been counseled to be mindful of my numbers. Uh, I'm wrestling with that one because the more you look at numbers, the less time you are creating. And I just seen too many podcasters start letting the numbers dictate the direction of their show, or it's all about the numbers all the time. And it's not. This is about connecting with people. And so I want to strike a balance there so I have an idea or a better idea, but I also don't want it to, take over my show. But one thing that is taking over is Caisson Shaving Company Fire for Effect. Look, if you are not shaving as a guy, now I know beards are all the rage. I get that, but I'm not a beard guy. But if you have a guy in your life who shaves every day, or if you're a guy who does shave every day, and then you're not shaving with this stuff, you're missing out. First of all, I can tell you, Fire for Effect from Caisson Shaving Company is my, favorite shaving soap. Right? It just My skin feels better. It smells great. Women seem to like it, which is not a bad thing. I'm just telling you guys. And ladies, if you want your guy to have something cool, like, you know, for him that you can enjoy too, check this stuff out. It's done by my good friend Travis Arnold, Army National Guard veteran who, hated shaving in the field. Let me tell you, shaving out your canteen cup sucks when it's 115 degrees outside. And he's like, if I had this stuff, oh, let me turn it right. There we go. It'd be a different experience. So it's Caisson Shaving Company, and they're an official Oscar Mike Radio supporter. Travis Arnold is, and you can use the code OMR10. That is code OMR10 for a 10% discount. So I know some people have tried it out, and some wives have gotten it for their husbands 2 years in a row for Christmas. So Travis is doing something right. And this Travis is doing something right. I love talking to Travises. So again, I'm not going to say there's any like big, huge, monumental shifts for Oscar Mike Radio. I think this is a time for me to work on my craft a little bit. I've got a couple events coming up in 2022, not nearly as much as last year and the year before, and that's okay. I really want to focus on perfecting some technical aspects of this craft, and then I also want to get better at this live stream stuff. I like this. I use Restream. It's working out great for me, but being able to talk live behind the mic and really work on that aspect of my craft. I just don't do it a whole lot. Usually, I record one of these 30, 40 minutes and then go through and really work the file over till I like what I have and then put it out. When it's live, it's live. I mean, all the hiccups or whatever is right there. And, this is where I'm like, how does Mistress Carrie, and all the greats do this? I don't know how, but, that's where I'm at. And, the other thing I'd like for 2022 is to grow, of course, and see more people, watch and follow and like and check out my merch and all that good stuff. And, I've got great merchandise from Authentically American and Alpha Bravo Custom Design. And I really like what they've done with, what I'm trying to do. But, I think it's just, a year of improvement. Like when I do this live cast at the end of 2022, it should hopefully be better than this one. And the only way I'm going to get better is doing more of this. It's just how it works for me. So I want to close by saying thank you for the support. There's been a lot of people reaching out to me, in the last 6 months who know what I've been going through and, helping me out and lifting me up. I want to say thanks for that. And I'm motivated to improve what I'm doing. And as long as I am adding value to the subject of the person's life, and more importantly, making that impact to one person, I'll keep doing this. And I love the challenge. I love the craft, and I just want to get better at it. So I'm going to close off by saying my 2021 is ending on a good note overall, and here's to a 2022 going off like a bullet. So that's it. As we say in Oscar Mike Radio, we are mission in flight. Thank you very much.